Black History Month is not just about looking back, but recognizing those who are still making strides for change right now. Thank you for joining us. I'm Dia Wall. In this special, we're introducing you to the men and women who are breaking barriers across North Texas, where legacy lives. We want to start with the organization helping families reconnect to their roots. Oftentimes, Black people hit a wall when tracing their ancestors. But with the help of a new project, a 90-year-old woman is finally starting to fill in the pieces that were once lost.
And it did somehow.
There's pride in knowing who you are.
Yes, girl.
Just for
a thrill. Girl, them were some good days. We had a good time.
Willie Mae Coleman has 90 years worth of stories.
We were poor. Our parents was very, very poor.
But found wealth in the little things.
But the music, people start playing music, they forget all of that. Child, we'd all be out in the neighborhood around there dancing out in the yard.
She's known as the mayor of South Dallas. Her work in the community and with various leaders backs it up too, creating memories like the ones shared with family.
His mother always dressed him up.
Stories that can't be told in just one visit to her South Dallas home.
That's my mom. That's the farmer, Eula Mae Shaw. That was her maiden name.
And her grandmother,
Sophronia Shaw. Sophronia's maiden name was Townsend.
A name belonging to Mr. Townsend.
He owned my grandmother and him.
Who owned the Louisiana farm where her family had no option but to work and live there.
She was 13. The man came and said, "Y'all free? Y'all free?" My grandmother said, "Free?" He said, the masters can't tell you what to do now, because y'all be free.
It's amazing the stories she continues to pass down.
You ready to go? He said, "I ain't going for you. I don't have to work for you, master. I can work for myself." And they started shooting at each other. Finally, they quit. They shot my grandmother, and the bullet went through her arm right there.
And it's daunting, the stories she simply doesn't know.
I don't know her parents' name, and what my grandmother's real name was, I don't know.
It's the disheartening reality of most descendants from Africa. But that's where American Ancestors' 10 Million Names Project comes in.
We are seeking to recover and restore the names of the estimated 10 million men, women, and children who were enslaved.
Cynthia Evans is research director.
It's important to uncover this information because we know that family history typically gives people a great sense of worth.
When researching Black families, most historians, like Marvin Delaney, turn to U.S. Census documents.
It just sort of gives you a capsule or a snapshot of how they were living and what was happening to them.
But the challenge is what most historians tracing Black families call the 1870 brick wall.
Prior to 1870, most African Americans, 90% of African Americans were enslaved. And so in, I would say, 1860, they're going to be listed on a slave schedule. They didn't even give their first names in 1840, 1850.
So for the past month, Cynthia has been coming here to the State Archives in Austin, researching Willie Mae's family history and hoping to break that 1870 wall.
And there's Willie Mae.
Eager to report back.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
I am Willie Mae Coleman.
I am Cynthia. It's so nice
Cynthia.
to meet you.
What she finds to Willie Mae and her cousin Gina.
Well, I have a 5-generation family chart for you.
It goes father's family and mother's family. So
Uncovering pieces to this family puzzle that up until now was based on oral history.
there is an interesting thing about Sophronia's family. She is a Townsend, but I found a census document with her name, and it looks like they may have gone back and forth between Townsley and Townsend.
Slavery really obscured a lot of that information. The fact that people were not allowed to learn how to read and write.
Slavery was abolished in 1865, but freedom for many was not the freedom they'd hoped.
You talked about the story of when Sophronia finds out that she is
free. And so when I did research, what I found was that Sophronia was born around 1880s. It has come down through your family, and it tells you about what they experienced in that location. More than likely, she's talking about sharecropping.
Sharecropping is a system in which a person rents a portion of land and pays the owner with a share of the crop. For many Blacks, sharecropping was almost like slavery.
Anytime you get a story from family to help you fill in the gaps and give you a glimpse of what Sophronia's life was like, when you talk about the joy of them finding that they were free.
She said it was an amazing day for her. Oh, they danced a while and celebrated out in the dirt and kicked up their heels. They were free. I know she did. Oh, it's amazing.
While imagining the joy her grandmother felt, she also feels a joy of her own.
This is your daddy. Yes, this is your dad. This is your daddy. This is your dad.
Look at that.
For the first time, Willie Mae sees her father's World War II registration card. Robert Walker, a man who defended this country's freedom but had to move his family from Louisiana to Dallas and himself to California, all in search of a freedom of his own.
Oh, what a joy. What a joy.
To see their eyes light up, to see them connect with history, what they know about their family, it's a beautiful feeling.
I'm rejoicing. I'm so happy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so happy because just to know that that this is where we come from.
Exactly.
And I would love to know more and more and more.
So now, when she twists down memory lane,
Y'all think I'm crazy.
it's not just a pride in knowing who she is,
Go a long way. Hey.
but feeling closer to those who came before her.
Say that, Ray.
In South Dallas,
Yeah, baby.
I'm Brittany Moncrief.
Part of the fabric of the Black community are our Greek organizations. It's made up of 5 fraternities and 4 sororities. And all of these groups share a common goal, uplifting their fellow brother and sister. Scoop Jefferson walks us through the legacy of the Divine Nine.
It's been more than 50 years, but the colors Rosemary Bolden wore in college
That pink and green walking across that campus.
and now as a patch on her chest still evokes a sense of pride.
I'm a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated is a historically Black sorority. It is the country's first Black sorority and is known for prioritizing community service.
Are we done with this?
Like this event in Dallas, putting together personal care bags to give away.
Today,
They have an unbreakable sisterhood and bond that builds each other up.
it's my level of confidence soared through the roof. I was a shy little girl who didn't know, couldn't find her way from one end of the campus to the next.
Crystal Gayton's passion for giving soared too when she joined the alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta after college.
Their alignment with service, community service, was right in line with the things that I was already doing.
Both sororities boast hundreds of thousands of members worldwide.
All of us just walking hand in hand to make a humongous difference in this world.
Traveling with your organization to different conferences and to be able to walk into a room and to identify another member of Divine Nine.
The Divine Nine is made up of 4 Black sororities and 5 fraternities.
Good morning, my sorors!
And perhaps the most famous member is AKA sorority sister Kamala Harris, who put a spotlight on Black Greek organizations during her run for president.
It did a great thing for Divine Nine in and of itself.
The Divine Nine also produced leaders like Texas Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Martin Luther King Jr., and John Lewis.
Being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, I have had the pleasure and the benefit to be able to be exposed to opportunity.
It's like having relatives all over the world, hundreds of thousands of them, right?
You'll often find D9 members stepping, a tradition that not only brings out competition, but also lifelong connection. DFW witnessed that when Omega Psi Phi fraternity came together last summer to mourn their frat brother, Dallas police officer Darren Burks, who was shot and killed in the line of duty.
we're still hurting from that. We actually started a $20,000 endowment for him at the university, and we're working to do more to kind of push his name forward.
It is a commitment to community.
The foundation of what we are is service.
We bond, we collaborate.
Brothers and sisters bonded to make a difference. In Dallas-Fort Worth, and a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
Coming up, you won't want to miss two athletes blazing their own trail in very different ways. You'll probably remember the monumental moment for a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader going into game day without her wig.
One day, a little black girl or a little black boy can look at me and say, I resonate with you, I see myself in you.
Armani Latimer's initiative to raise awareness about a disease she's dealt with since childhood and who's helped shape her perspective as she continues to inspire others. And later, a goal set just days after the Tokyo Olympics, make it to Paris. What it was like for Jasmine Moore to soar at the 2024 Summer Games. All month, we've been giving voice to members of our Black community so they can share their stories in their own words. As we head to break, meet an Arlington police officer who wants you to know there's more behind the badge.
My name is Sergeant Robert Walsh, and this is my legacy. I'm a Arlington police officer, 17-year veteran, as well as the founder of Next Metropolitan. Seeing officers in uniform that look like you, that can relate to you, means the world. I want people to know there's more to officers. We're human. Yes, we do make mistakes, but there's more to us outside of the badge. My parents are servant leaders, and I wanted to continue that legacy, and starting Next Metropolitan back in 2020 is the beginning of that. We got Next! Next Metropolitan is a public nonprofit that's DFW based, where we mentor young men primarily ages 15 to 21. Whatever we can do to make sure that that young man becomes a productive citizen of his family and society is what we do. I wouldn't be in the position I'm in today if someone didn't pour into me. So I felt like it was imperative that I gave back to the community that gave to me and continues to give to me. On the clock, I'm Sergeant Robert Walsh, but off the clock, I'm just Mr. Walsh. I love my job, but I'm a firm believer that I rent the title. Outside of work, I'm still a black man. I'm a father, I'm a son, a brother, a friend. So I want to be known as a little bit more than just by my official title. My legacy is a servant leader. My legacy is mentorship. My legacy is my family.
Every time they ask me why, I just smile and say,
he is the legendary Charlie Pride,
kiss an angel good morning.
country music's first black star.
Music to you is happiness.
The son of a poor sharecropper in Mississippi who found his first love in baseball. He had a shot at the majors but cracked his elbow. So he turned to singing.
Just between you and me.
That classic, smooth sound led to 30 #1 hits, 3 Grammys, and if you ask him his favorite song,
The one I'm singing at the moment, that's the truth.
Pride died at his Dallas home in 2020. Weeks after he was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award. He was 86 years old.
You've likely seen Armani Latimer's story. She's a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader who bravely took the field last season without her wig. Armani made Cowboys history and Black history as she helped break a stigma so many Black women face. Here's sports journalist Arnold Payne.
It was a night that the NFL annually celebrates its My Cause, My Cleats. an opportunity for NFL players to wear their hearts on their cleats, to champion a cause that's important to them. But this year, the messaging of a different team member would capture the hearts of many. Not displayed on her shoes, but instead bearing her heartfelt message on the weight of her shoulders.
I really wanted to push forward the awareness of alopecia and the effect that it has on people.
Meet Dallas Cowboys cheerleader Armani Latimer. She chose this night, with a nation watching, to make her statement.
I don't want any woman, little girl out there to feel like that they don't have a voice in this world or someone who's going to speak up for them.
Since childhood, Armani has lived with alopecia areata, an incurable autoimmune disease that causes hair loss.
I wasn't frightened at all. And I had most of my hair, so you couldn't really see the bald spot if I had one.
But Armani's high school years became a bit more unpredictable.
So I could go a whole year of high school and never receive a bald spot, and then I could go 2 months and have 5.
Despite the struggles, Armani's mom and dad refused to let her anxiety steal her peace.
Me and my mom had plenty of conversations about my alopecia growing up. She was kind of my go-to person to help me figure out different hairstyles, and eventually I did turn to wearing extensions or weaves or wigs to help with maintaining the hair that I still did have and to cover up the bald spots that I had.
Armani initially tried out for the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders with her natural hair, but eventually in her second year, she lost it all.
I would say I was probably angry when I lost all of it.
But it was the journey, the shared nurturing with someone who had walked in her footsteps, that gave Armani the reassurance and conviction to move forward.
My dad has alopecia.
It gave me a little peace to know that I could be there for her, to support her, to answer some of the questions.
In fact, it was a little something Dad shared with his daughter that helped shape her perspective moving forward.
There's highs, there's lows, but just know if I had this one other thing about me that was a bonus, actually.
A bonus that she unselfishly wanted to share, one that brought chills to her body, but more importantly, purpose to her heart.
I can actually hear some gasps in the audience as well, and I said, okay, this is it. We're about to start the conversation.
And did it ever? It was a social networking explosion. Responses as far away as Australia in support of Armani's efforts. Armani's message is one of hope, aiming to spark conversations that resonate with kids that look like her.
One day, a little black girl or a little black boy can look at me and say, I resonate with you, I see myself in you. And I know that if she can go out there and tackle her fears in front of thousands of people with no wig on, then I can certainly do whatever it is that I want to do.
Due to societal expectations, the loss of hair for all women can be challenging. In the case of black women, the presence of hair, or lack of, has even deeper roots.
Historically, it has been something that we identify with. It provides community. You know, we're raised getting our hair done, and when it comes to the point of losing the hair, that can sometimes remove some of those cultural things.
One must be tested before sharing a testament, and Armani has.
You know, women are supposed to have long, luscious, beautiful hair. They're supposed to look a certain way, especially black women. We've definitely had that stigma in the past. There's a lot of history behind our hair, so I love the fact that I'm able to break the stigma and the standard of what beauty in a woman is supposed to be and what it actually looks like.
In Dallas, I'm Arnold Payne.
Communities across North Texas have a rich black history, and one of the oldest black neighborhoods in Fort Worth is the historic South Side. It's located southeast of downtown. And as our Janelle Fort found out, there's now a permanent reminder there of the fight for equality.
At first glance, it looks like a vintage bus stop, but take a closer look.
Monument to the people who protested systemic racism through the policies of segregation.
And you'll see, this isn't just a shelter from the unpredictable Texas weather, it's a history lesson.
I started to research, the concept of like what the materials could mean, and my mind immediately went to how often the transit bus appeared in the stories of the civil rights movement.
Designed by artist Christopher Blay, the installation is called the East Rosedale Monument Project.
Through the acts of groups like the Freedom Riders.
It's been in the works since 2014.
This started as an idea in my head, and then it turned into little sketches in a sketchbook.
10 years later, the reimagined bus now sits in the heart of Fort Worth's historic South Side. Inside, instead of schedules and route maps, each panel reflects on segregation, protest, and progress.
Bus boycotts that protested the racially segregated spaces in public transportation.
Documenting both national movements and local struggles.
They would be dropped off downtown Fort Worth and then walk 20 blocks to I M Terrell High School.
The installation sits just a few hundred feet away from Takeda Odom's coffee shop.
Learning about Black history, I didn't learn about Fort Worth Black history. I learned about American Black history.
The local NAACP president says she's hoping the monument will serve as one way to fill that void.
It's history that should be maintained. It's history that people should know about.
For Blay, that's exactly the goal.
I think it's important to just have a public acknowledgement.
To preserve history, spark curiosity, and honor those who paved the way. In Fort Worth, I'm Janelle Fort.
From voting rights to education and equality in health care, for decades, Black women have led the charge for civil rights. And two notable women have roots right here in North Texas. Juanita Craft became the first Black woman to vote in Dallas County in a public election. She later fought and won to help enroll the first Black student at North Texas State College, which is now the University of North Texas. And then there's the grandmother of Juneteenth, Miss Opal Lee. At the age of 94, she got former President Joe Biden to sign an executive order declaring June 19th a federal holiday. And now at the age of 98, she's the brains behind the National Juneteenth Museum. From overcoming rejection to being a major donor in the Dallas area, the McDonald's mogul serving up much more than fast food.
In 1965, SMU recruited and signed the first Black football scholarship athlete of the Southwest Conference, Jerry Levias. Considered by many the Jackie Robinson of the Southwest, Levias describes his time at SMU simply as
a living hell. It was a nightmare. You weren't treated equal. You were lonesome.
Despite the odds, Levias led the team in 1966 to their first conference title in 18 years. Decades later, his legacy lives on at SMU. Every year, a player is picked to wear the number 23 to honor what Levias stood for and what he had to overcome.
When they get a chance to look at my tombstone, it's going to be the date of my birth and the day that I passed away. And it's going to be a dash that it says, I made a difference.
When it comes to Black women who dominate, the names Sha'Carri Richardson and Jasmine Moore come to mind. They both competed in the 2024 Summer Olympics, and they're both from North Texas. Our Morgan Young recently caught up with Jasmine Moore about her secret weapon to scoring 2 medals.
Time is a funny thing.
Definitely to make Paris and then have my family there to actually cheer me on will be amazing.
That was Jasmine Moore's goal in August of 2021, just days after she'd returned home from the Tokyo Olympics.
I wasn't really too happy with my performance, and I know I can do better.
Fast forward to summer 2022.
Yeah, I definitely think I had probably one of the best seasons I could have had.
A season yielding 8, yes, 8 titles, SEC championship wins for both of her events, long jump and triple jump, both indoor and outdoor. Then she literally repeated that dominance at the NCAA championship. Now, fast forward 2 more years to summer 2024, the Paris Olympic Games.
Even, a couple months leading up to Paris, I don't think I imagined how good it would be.
The girl who merely hoped she'd make it to Paris became the first American woman to qualify for the Olympics in both long jump and triple jump ever.
And I think I finished Tokyo just really sad and disappointed in my performance. But of course, you grow so much in the span of, 3 to 4 years. So to have that next opportunity in Paris, I was really excited for.
And then she made history again when she became the first American woman to medal in both events.
So it's my Olympic bronze medal. And then it has the Eiffel Tower in the center.
And she's got 2.
I was on cloud 9. My whole family was there to watch and support. My coach, it was his first Olympic medal as well. So yeah, just a lot of emotions, a lot of tears, a lot of happy tears.
For more, a new mindset made all the difference.
Yeah, in Tokyo, I felt like I really didn't belong. But in Paris, I was just more confident within myself. I had graduated college. It was my first year being a professional. So just having a little bit more experience underneath my belt, and I just kept getting better.
How do you build your confidence?
My discipline makes me confident, but once you just embrace whatever you have or whatever is working for you, it'll just make everything so much better. So just leaning into it and fake it till you make it, because then you'll eventually start to believe it yourself, and then it'll be real confidence.
Time is a funny thing. But Jasmine Moore's absolute dominance is no joke. In just a few years, she has shattered multiple ceilings and her own expectations.
I'm just so thankful that I stuck with everything and that I didn't give up and that I just stayed committed to my sport.
She's already made history, and while she plans to conquer her next goal, she's got some special bling to keep her motivated.
I love her. I sleep next to her every night. She's in my nightstand.
A common theme we're seeing among all the people we featured is that they're the embodiment of passion and perseverance. For one North Texan, it meant taking a pivot from the oil industry to the Golden Arches to create change in his community. Here's Richard Solomon.
Roland Parrish moved to Texas from Indiana in the 1980s in hopes of buying his own McDonald's franchise. But the empire he's built now is beyond his wildest dreams, and he's helped uplift those around him along the way.
How are you folks today? Come on in.
It takes a special kind of recipe to create happiness.
Yeah, thanks for coming to McDonald's.
Whether it's fries cooked to a golden perfection.
Because it's a sizzle. Once you drop the fries, it's a sizzle.
Or a customer left fulfilled. It is something Roland Parrish has mastered.
I'm the hamburger hustler. I got 36 years of experience being in business.
Roland is the second largest minority owner franchisee.
And right now, he's number 1
in the McDonald's empire.
How many do you own now?
So currently I own 25 restaurants in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
From the location inside DFW Airport to here off Preston Road and Royal Lane. His journey didn't start out the way he thought it would. In 1987, when he left working for ExxonMobil in finance and accounting and applied for his own franchise.
I was promptly rejected, but I didn't accept no for an answer.
Through that determination, he would open up his first store in Pleasant Grove on Juneteenth, 1989. But if you asked him what he's most proud of, you won't find it inside of any of his restaurants.
See, even that fence wasn't there, all of that was open.
Just head over to 4 Oak Cliff on East Ledbetter.
It's one of the things I'm most proud of.
Why is that?
Because, man, you could physically see how this helps his community.
He donated money so they could repair their swimming pool. And over the years, Roland has donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to places like the YMCA, African American Museum Dallas, the Redbird Mall Project, and St. Philip's School and Community Center, giving more than just a dollar amount.
A child can't be what a child can't see.
Terry Flowers with St. Philip's says he's making the most important investment.
You're planting seeds. That's what the money is designed to do. We don't come back, then who else will?
But if it influences somebody to change their life and change their goals and want to achieve and then go back and help somebody, that's significant.
His goal was to never own so many McDonald's, but rather to serve as many people as he could.
And I do it to help people, not for personal gain.
And that's his special recipe.
Thank you.
In Dallas, I'm Richard Solomon.
It is always a very rich and rewarding experience when I can take a brief break from the day-to-day demands of our struggle.
Martin Luther King Jr. was well known for his presence across the Southeast. But what most people don't know is he took some time to visit the Mustangs at SMU. We hear from the students who escorted him to campus. You can't talk about Black history without talking food. It's part of the fabric of our culture. But you know we have to give you a Texas twist. A piece of Dallas Black history is now honored by the state of Texas. Earlier this year, White Rock Cemetery received a Texas historical marker. The cemetery is 173 years old and is the resting place for many of Dallas's Black pioneers. Nearly 60 years ago, SMU students packed a campus auditorium to hear from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Brittany Moncrief spoke with two alumni who witnessed his speech that day.
We have come a long, long way in our struggle to make justice a reality for all men.
If these walls could whisper.
But we have a long, long way to go before the problem is solved.
Imagine the stories they'd echo, the people they've seen. But very few can give account to the day Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. took this stage.
In order to illustrate this, a bit of history is necessary.
March 17, 1966, SMU's McFarland Auditorium.
This auditorium was packed.
2,700 seats.
You could hear a pin drop.
And Charles Cox was there to listen.
Members of the student body, ladies and gentlemen.
That's him seated right behind Dr. King. It's the only known picture from that day.
Well, I was passionate about civil rights, as many, many were at this school. And I wanted to hear from the person who was right in the middle of it all.
Charles was the Student Association's academic committee chair. They invited King to speak years prior, but because of John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, King wouldn't come until 1966.
Well, what I remember is that Bert and I drove out to Love Field, and he walked off the airplane with his assistant, whose name was Bernard Lee.
Charles and his classmate escorted Dr. King personally, taking him to meet with various religious organizations before coming to deliver his address at SMU. An hour-long speech about justice, integration, and civil rights.
The basic thing about a man is not his specificity, but his fundamentum.
He had no notes, and he drew you into what felt like a very deep and powerful conversation.
For in this decision...
Also listening from the balcony was another SMU student who was tapped on the shoulder and escorted to a room backstage.
Where there was Dr. King. I was so surprised, I'm nobody. I'm just an athlete.
Jerry Levias is the first Black football player to get an athletic scholarship in the Southwest Conference. He'd go on to play in the NFL.
The stuff that I had to go through and, having bodyguards and being threatened to be shot, being spit on and called all kind of names, and a chance to meet the Martin Luther King. It was unbelievable.
Jerry says he and Dr. King talked about religion.
I was more stunned, and I guess, it's like being baptized again. He told me, always be a believer.
He always said the arc of history bends toward justice. In the long run, we will succeed in reaching many of these goals that are still not met.
Struggle to suffer and sacrifice.
So, if these walls could whisper,
in order to be free,
they loudly echo stories of a movement.
I must be measured by my soul.
That still touches generations today.
We'll be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. Thank you.
In Dallas, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
We can't wrap up a special about legacy without getting into food. Soul food plays a huge part in who we are as a community. But this is Texas, so it's not authentic unless you add a dash of brisket and a side of beans. Richard Solomon takes us to Dallas, where one restaurant is leaving their cultural footprint in their cuisine.
With every drop of flavor,
Our signature item for us, the meats go, or our ribs.
You'll be able to taste a little bit of love.
If you have a restaurant, you better have good food.
A little bit of their love. This is Rose and Dwight, and their love story started while they both worked for Pepsi.
I worked for her. Like, nothing has changed since then, so. And that's been, I don't know how many years ago.
And for the last 17 years, they've poured that love into Off the Bone Barbecue. It was a passion that they started after Dwight retired. He was always on the grill, and Rose always coming up with recipes.
My hobby was cooking.
To quote Jerry Jones, we were all in. I mean, at that point, we had to be.
This is it'll hold 600 to 700 pounds of meat.
But this story isn't necessarily about the food on their menu, but how this husband and wife have overcome the hardships of owning a small business.
It was ugly during that point in time.
The restaurant opened in 2008 during the recession. Business was uncertain, but they were able to push through.
If anybody was at the convention center and they wanted to eat, this was it. And that was a good thing.
And then in 2020, the pandemic. Dwight says they were fearful they'd have to close their doors for good. But because of resources like the Texas Restaurant Association and different delivery options, orders, they kept pouring in.
A couple cases of brisket, a couple cases of ribs, sausage, chicken.
So besides the juicy sides, what's keeping them going is the simple recipe of not giving up, mixed in with hard work.
It's really important in these times when all of that's trying to be erased, that we remember who we are and where we came from.
These two brought a flavor to Dallas almost 20 years ago, and they're hoping it'll last for many more to come. In Dallas, I'm Richard Solomon.
Well, that's it for us. We hope you enjoyed learning about Black history and celebrating Black excellence. Because there are too many stories to fit in just 1 month or one special, we will continue to celebrate all year long. Take care.